Claude Morgan, former mayor of South Portland, takes us to Woolwich for a scary tale as good or maybe even better than a ghost story. It's a perfect Maine story like Stephen King's, but this one really happened.
The story I want to tell you tonight is about a chance meeting I had in Woolwich, Maine. I moved to Maine when I was 20. In my mid-30s, I enrolled in graduate school at Tufts University, but I kept living in Maine, and I sorted my schedule out so that I'd do 4 days in Maine and 3 down in Boston. And one day I was up in Maine in my cabin out on the Sasanoa River overlooking what was called Hell's Gate, which was a convergence of this very busy river that ran both ways. The Sasanoa is a tributary between Sheepscot Bay and the Kennebec River, and both of those are high tides. So this river could run both ways, fast. And Hell's Gate itself, I used to see boats caught in it, unable to pull themselves out of the tumult that was the tidal pull. I lived in what I thought was paradise. And one day I was up deep in my studies and I noticed that the sky had become very dark very quickly. And then it started to rain. And then I heard peals of lightning. And then a peal of lightning and a bolt of lightning came and landed very close to the cabin, and it shattered a tree in front of me. And it was a brilliant bright light. This was late afternoon, early fall. And then it started peals of lightning and lightning running in all different directions, landing very, very close and landing all along the river. And during one of these bright explosions of lightning, I looked out my front window and I saw a man standing on my porch in foul weather gear, and it frightened me. I thought, who on earth is out in this weather? Standing on my porch, a stranger. I was frightened. And I went to the door and I said, "Can I help you?" And he said very simply, "May I come in?" And I thought for a minute and I said, "Sure," thinking it's dangerous out there. The lightning is landing very close. I invited the man in and he introduced himself. He said, "My name is Claude." And my name is Claude. And how many Claudes are there? So I thought, this is interesting. And I made some coffee, and it was a torrent of rain, and the storm was in it. It was full blown. And we had several cups of coffee, and we came to realize very quickly that we had some of the same passions, some of the same desires. He was a Walloon Belgian, a French-speaking Belgian. He had moved to the United States. He'd become a successful restaurateur in the New York area, but his passion was fish and fishing, and he often fished on the Sasanoa River. We quickly found out that we had so much in common. It was uncanny, and we began to joke that maybe we were the doppelgangers, that somehow I was a version of him and he was a version of me. And it became almost spooky in this storm. There was a sort of an error that this was a mysterious meeting. It felt like something out of a Joseph Conrad story, like The Secret Sharer. And we both commented on it, and both commented about how it was like a Conrad story. Eventually the storm died down, and Claude stood up and put on his foul weather gear, thanked me for my hospitality. And even though we had made this connection, we both agreed not to share contact information, with the understanding that this was a special moment, that to try to make it last longer would take away the mystery of what had just happened. Claude left. That was the last I ever saw of him, but it's an indelible memory in my mind.